Jy is geskakel op GROOTplaas en ons gas saam met ons vanoggend Janice Renton. Sy's 'n beesboer van die Oos-Kaap om bietjie met ons te gesels oor hoe hulle 'n volhoubare suiwel en 'n beesboerdery bestuur. Janice, good morning and welcome.
Thank you, Duppy. It's good to be with you.
So Janice, what was the main reason behind integrating dairy and beef farming on specifically your farm?
Well, that goes back to when my dad took over the farm about 30 plus years ago now. My grandpa was farming sheep and beef cattle. And yeah, my dad is more of a dairy farmer. He had experience in dairy and wanted to integrate that in. Cash flow, a lot of financial decisions. We felt it was better for our environment in terms of we can get quite wet. So sheep were a bit of a struggle when he first arrived. My uncle had also been doing some cropping, seed cropping, but yeah, my dad's passions were dairy and beef, and that fitted better into how he wanted to carry the farm forward from what had been happening on the farm, and haven't looked back since. So that's how it started.
So where are you guys located, and how's the management changed over time?
We are, a lot of people don't know exactly where we are. If you can see in the back of my picture, we near Hogsback in the Eastern Cape, which is about 2 hours inland from East London. We have a little micro environment between Hogsback and a mountain range that goes past like on the top side of our farm. Management, sure. I think as you grow and develop and learn, I'm a fourth generation farmer. My great grandpa started the farm. My grandpa took over, and uncle, and they've always just done what they felt best for the farm at the time when they were doing it. And as we've grown and learned, as my dad has grown and learned, looking after the environment more, working with the weather, working with the ground that you've got, your grass species, and learning to use your animals to improve your environment and to sustain it and make it viable in the foreseeable future for future generations. So a lot of grazing management practices, and also how we deal with what we call old lands, which were previously plowed and cultivated, is probably the biggest change that we've made in the last 15 years or so.
So one of the biggest questions always when talking to a farmer is, how do you strike the balance between profitability and sustainability?
That is always a big thing. We're part of a company, well, not a company, but we use a company called Trace and Save to do an analysis on our farm on a yearly basis in terms of sustainability, and one of their big things is how do you balance the finances and your economic sustainability, your environmental sustainability, and social sustainability. And I think that's where we have decided not to jump in, like guns blazing, or what you say, like go cold turkey on certain things. We have taking little steps at a time to try and bring about changes. We, especially with dairy, you've got to be very careful of just going cold turkey in terms of no fertilizer, and you just want to like cut back on anything chemical or synthetic, and you're going to go absolutely natural, and you can tank yourself financially, because there's a fine balance between feeding dairy cows quality fodder so that you get the milk from them, and yeah, finding a good balance between irrigated pastures and what kind of quality feed you need. It's been easier on veld and old lands in terms of growing out our younger stock. We have just taken very conscious decisions to not spend too much money on seed or fertilizer, and to rather work with the environment. We use strip grazing quite a lot. So low inputs, I suppose, would be, in a nutshell, low inputs and focusing on quality and intense management. you've got to manage very intensely to maintain your profitability when you are trying to be regenerative and work with the land, because you can't just throw chemicals at whatever you're doing.
So with the regenerative farming practices that you guys are implementing, they obviously play a crucial role in the production system. What is that role?
Well, I think if you're trying to be regenerative, which we are, and sustainable, it guides every single decision that you make. So when you are deciding what grazing to do, how you doing your fodder flow, allocating your grazing, that for me would be it influences my decisions and how I make that. So we do strip grazing on all our old lands, and obviously that is because we are trying to regenerate ground. We are trying to get as much animal impact as possible, and then appropriate rest periods influence how much your ground regenerates and your grasses grow. So every single decision I make around grazing management is with the lens of how do I improve my soil quality and my grass quality on my farm to increase my capacity going forward, and to keep the property getting even better than it currently is.
So with the management of these resources, how do you integrate them between the dairy and the beef divisions?
So the principle stays the same. We the basic principle that we apply in a nutshell for grazing is short in, long out, well, not long out, appropriate periods out for the different environments. So the dairy is exactly the same. We adjust our grazing cycle on our irrigated platform according to how the grass is growing and what kind of growth rate we're getting. The cows get allocated a 12-hour section, and I think maybe because of dairy, it's been easier to implement it into the beef, where we can implement those same principles. High density, we are definitely not high density. People that do high density would shoot me down, but we do strip graze, short periods in each section, appropriate rest, and so yeah, that's how it's integrated. Our cows and milk run on irrigated platform, and then our young heifers that we grow that are growing out for the dairy, they kind of integrated with our beef cows, because where grass is growing, where's the best grass to go into, those are kind of I look at the farm as a whole, and I say, okay, this is where each group of animals is going to be moving to, based on how grass is growing and recovered and where the best quality grass is. Younger animals need better quality grass than the older animals. So our beef cows primarily run on our veld, and then we've got young heifers, and we grow out bulls for our beef group that run on our old lands, which is better quality grasses.
Janice, we're going to be back with you in a second. Dis ons gas op GROOTplaas vandag, Janice Renton, sy's 'n beesboer van die Oos-Kaap. Ons is terug, nou is tyd vir die GROOTplaas kalender. Ons is geskakel op GROOTplaas. Ons gesels vanoggend met Janice Renton, 'n beesboer daar van die Oos-Kaap, oor hulle volhoubare suiwel en beesboerdery en hoe hulle dit bestuur. Janice, so when it comes to challenges on your farm specifically, what are some of the most challenging stuff that you've had to overcome to successfully combine the two farming enterprises?
Sure. Challenges in terms of combining them. Yeah, I think that they're actually pretty well suited for each other. I'd say the challenges affect both of them. Um, in terms of weather, our environment is very harsh in winter, and so when we actually, just to give context, when my dad started the dairy, he started with a completely seasonal dairy, which was to fit in again with the regenerative lens to fit into our environment. We don't get much growth in our grass from the middle of May until September almost, or end of August. So at the end of May, we dry off all our dairy cows at the same time, and we start milking again when they start calving at the end of July. During that period of basically no grass growth, or very, very minimal grass growth, then we've got to we pull our dairy cows off the dairy platform, the irrigated platform, and they fit into the rest of the farm's grazing plans. So in very harsh years where you've got no rain and a very dry season, then that makes it more challenging to find how to balance the grazing between the beef and dairy. But mostly in terms of like how they integrate and challenges between them, they're very well suited and matched for each other. Yeah, our biggest challenges, I arrived home in 2019 when we had our biggest drought. So that affects the whole farm, beef and dairy, and just the cold winters are a yearly challenge, but something that obviously we know and is built into our model.
So you've also mentioned that you're fourth generation farmer on your farm specifically. How does innovation and ingenuity play a role in your specific farming approach?
Sure, I think that's such a privilege to be able to have seen things grow and develop. And I know that my grandpa was always up for something new, a new challenge. I think the biggest place we've experienced it in is in our dairy. Unfortunately, due to external circumstances, we haven't maybe kept up as much as we should have. But when my dad first put in our milking parlor and then did some upgrades with it, he put in a lot of new technology. Came from Denmark. Our machine originally came from Denmark. A lot of milk recording information into how the system runs in terms of electronics and measuring, etc., which has helped us a lot, measuring conductivity in our milk. And yeah, so that has played a big role in the actual milking parlor, being part of study groups where people are continuously innovating and finding new ways and ideas to do things. And then I think maybe one of the biggest innovations in the beef, where 50 odd years ago, my grandpa and one of the other farmers in our district started a beef breeding group breeding system called the Fenfield Reds Beef Group, which was completely new in its time. There were some sheep breeding groups around, group breeding schemes, but there wasn't a beef group. And yeah, that was a huge innovation, and we continue to push the boundaries with that and keep growing. And that beef group has been around for 52 years this year. So that is a real privilege to be part of. And I mean, we're looking into getting an agricultural drone. So things keep changing in the agricultural sector, and if you're not up to speed with what's happening, you just got to keep seeing what's going to suit your environment and fit into your business operation.
Janice, thank you so much for your insights this morning. We really appreciate taking the time to chat to us. Dis Janice Renton, sy's 'n beesboer van die Oos-Kaap, om 'n bietjie te gesels oor hoe hulle dinge doen daar op hulle plaas. Dis alwaarvoor ons tyd het vir Grootplaas. Ons kuier weer môreoggend saam.